Hello everyone friends, today our story begins at night in a very ordinary apartment, where a young man named Frog plays his game and does not want to go to bed. And so after another keystroke, he finally manages to defeat all opponents, and his teammates do not get tired of praising him for a good game. Everyone has a friendly atmosphere, and everyone is happy that the guild really becomes invincible, thanks to their strong leader. Sprinter even said that thanks to our leader, they became the first guild, which managed to defeat a new version of the boss. Absolutely every member of the team has exalted and praised our leader, wondering and hoping that he will be just as popular and strong in reality. At a time when the guy was the most ordinary boy in glasses, who only did that day and night playing video games and sad, that the sense of accomplishment gained in the game disappears as he soon returns to the real world. Our hero, as you guessed, is called Frog and has the same name as the main character of his favorite comics. He looks like the simplest student, who has no height, no appearance and no financial strength, who also wants to have the attention of others, exactly the same as he is given in the game world, but unfortunately he understands that he's just another regular college student. And at this point, Frog is seriously starting to think about what would be really cool if he was just as strong a guy, who would look like a superhero, only in the real world, where he would fight monsters and be happy to protect the planet, which he has already done many times in video games. He had already begun to imagine how after his heroic actions, he would automatically attract the attention of a huge number of girls, who would admire him and agree to do absolutely anything he asked. He was already making up answers and phrases in his head, in case the fans ran up to him. Well, that would be really, really cool, thought Frog, with his mouth open, that came out of his dreams. And one late evening, when he was playing his computer games again, he received a notice, after which he was very surprised. Who is it that writes me so late? It turned out that it was wrote by the wizard, named Little Prince, who just joined the guild with a very interesting proposal, that really surprised our hero. She asked him if he had any time on Saturday, and asked him to go on a date. Of course, our hero was absolutely not ready for this, but was very happy that he was invited. But, he is also haunted by the thought of whether the character may be an ordinary old man, or someone else. The thought of which actually made him nauseous, and he decided to put these foolish thoughts out of his head as soon as possible. But when he realizes that he has neither money nor good looks, he realizes that he simply can't care about what, and the fear of forever being alone does not satisfy him, so he decides to take a step towards the unknown. And still continue the dialogue. Even though his hands were shaking before writing the lyrics, he still agrees to go to his first date in the park tomorrow. From the surprise and new experience, he even cried out in the middle of the night, even waking up his neighbors. He could barely sleep, but the next morning, after the alarm bell, he woke up a different person. Very quickly turning it off, he packed up, dressed and ran to his first date in life, even forgetting to close his front door. And so, 10 minutes later, he came to an incredibly beautiful park, called Hushin. Everything was very beautiful, and everywhere there was pink cherry lilac, which did what reported to the whole world, that today, will be a really beautiful and unusual day. Parallel to this, standing on a pedestrian crossing, Frog stood and wondered what would happen to him. He could not hide his excitement, and whatever he did, the thought of waiting for him today aroused him. And he was holding a bouquet, and waiting for the right moment. The thought that today, he would finally change his life, inspired him, and after the green light, he went and tried to explain to himself his current state, and how he was feeling. Amidst a huge crowd, he noticed that the closer he got to the meeting place, the faster his heart started beating, and his legs were shaking. Frog also noted that because he had been constantly bullied at school, and now, the fear of leaving immediately weighs heavily on him. But he also wants to be brave, but can't control his excitement, thinking about what his date will be and how he will go out with a girl. But, having decided that there is no point in dreaming anymore and that everything he will learn very soon, that's why he starts to step forward, without looking around, and at the red light. Falling in love, he said, "This step today is the beginning of my decision to change my nature as an introvert. After that, everything will be different." The people standing next to him, at the traffic light, started shouting, trying to stop the dreamer. Just at that moment, the truck was at work and was racing, at a notably high speed. As for the city, not knowing anything, and not expecting to see any pedestrians, on its way. Seeing the boy, he starts to honk and jerk the rudder, in order to escape a serious collision, which can change the lives of both participants, move in the opposite direction, but he absolutely sees, and hears nothing on his way. His thoughts are now completely immersed in a date that will completely change his life. And here, bam, boom, buzz. And the truck at speed hits our hero. His flowers fall to the floor with him, and he begins to regret that he will not live anymore. Absolutely all pedestrians are in shock. People are trying to do something to help the young man, but his consciousness begins to fade, and the thought that he will never see the girl and never have a date is one of the last things he remembers. He doesn't regret anything in his life, except playing computer games all the time, but not spending it in real life. It is also a very popular regret of people, and in the real world, who live only in the virtual, and do not develop themselves in any reality. As soon as his consciousness fades, he has a download screen in front of him, like in video games, in which he tries to find out what happened at all. To which he receives the following response: "You would accept it soon, I am your system." After a long conversation with the system, he realized that after the truck crash he had completely reincarnated into a new world and was being called to embrace a new reality. He resists and wonders what is behind his new eyes. And the system explains to him, "You have just entered your new body, and it needs time to adapt. Please calm down." Calm down. He is still forced to take a new body, and a new reality that appeared before him. But Frog is absolutely not satisfied, because he wants to work on himself in the previous world, so he does not want to go into the new. But the system convinces him by saying, that if he completes his entire mission, he will be able to choose reincarnation, and return to the original world, before he was hit by a truck and go on his date. Of course, after such a dialogue the situation becomes much more interesting, and the hero asks, "What task do you want me to perform?" He is asked to take his time and is recommended, to first familiarize himself with his new body, and get used to it, before accepting a new mission. When our hero does ask where his arms and legs are, the system simply decides to show him, who he really is. In the reflection he sees no one but snails and forest, and when he lowers his eyes below, he is as surprised as possible. After all, he could not believe in such a thing, since now he is not a man, but just an ordinary mushroom, that grows in the forest, which was simply impossible to believe. And it is from this moment, on that the adventure of Mushroom Brave is just beginning. Because it is not by chance, that the system chose it to save the world. Write down a comment, in which you will tell what you think about this chapter, and follow please to my channel to watch more content and the continuation of this story, which will be available very soon, and please, put your fingers up to support and motivate me to work for you even more. Thanks.